Shalom and welcome. This week's Torah reading, Tetzaveh, opens with what sounds like an article in a fashion magazine for what the well-dressed Kohen, or priest, will be wearing this year. An ephod, an apron of sorts, of gold, blue, purple, and crimson yarns, and of fine twisted linen, with two shoulder pieces attached at its two ends. The decorated band on it shall be made of one piece out of gold, blue, purple, and crimson yarns, and guess what? Fine twisted linen. Here's a picture from Wikipedia of the high priest wearing, presumably, a recreation of what that robe would have, the ephod would have been. It's almost like a funky apron. It reminds me a little bit of military insignia. Now after that is the commandment to make a choshen mishpat, a breastplate of decision or judgment, and it's square with 12 stones, one for each of the 12 tribes of Israel. This breastplate was designed to be made by the same artist and with the same materials and colors as the ephod. Aaron, the high priest, would wear this breastplate with the stones for the 12 tribes, so that God would always remember the merits of our ancestors and treat us, their offspring, favorably when remembering them. The Torah tends to be fairly brief in its instruction and language, so why does it go into so much excruciating detail regarding the building of the sanctuary in the wilderness, the furnishings that would go into it, and the clothes that the high priest would wear? Imagine giving these instructions to an architect, tailor, or artisan. I have enough trouble following a color work pattern that requires knitting with more than 2 colors at a time. And clearly, the book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, hadn't been written yet. But there's a difference between taking care of details and sweating small stuff. A clue to these incredibly specific instructions, down to the minutest elements, lies in the last verse of chapter 28. They shall be worn by Aaron and his sons when they enter the tent of meeting, or when they approach the altar to officiate in the sanctuary, so that they do not incur punishment and die. Whew. For all the glory and splendor and honor given to the Kohanim, it's a huge responsibility as well. One wrong move, and they could die. Specifically, this verse has to do with the priest showing up for work missing his trousers, which was a capital offense. And really, you can't make this stuff up. But it reminds us of the importance of paying attention to detail and of carrying out instructions properly. After all, you wouldn't want to get on an airplane if you didn't think the pilot and crew had carefully gone over their checklists to make sure everything was in order, would you? Now, while showing up for work in one's pajamas is a common dream or nightmare, most people do arrive at their jobs properly dressed, as did the Kohanim. Our Torah reading teaches us that by paying attention to the little things in life, we can make our lives richer and fuller. Shabbat Shalom.